Today on our 2010 Ford Raptor Super Cab, we're going to be installing the BAKFlip G2 hard tonneau cover, part number BAK 26309. Add a stylish design to your truck while keeping your equipment, tools, or fifth wheel hitch out of the elements with the BAKFlip G2 hard tonneau cover. It has an aerodynamic design, so it's going to reduce wind drag. It may improve your fuel economy. It also is low profile. The whole assembly sits inside of your truck bed rails. It features trifold panels which allow for partial or full bed access. To operate them, simply drop down your tailgate, pull down on the cable release on either side, and begin folding. Each panel features a cable release. Once we get to the last panel, the safety buckles prevent it from unfolding while we're on the road. And this is for partial bed access. For full bed access, we'll release that last panel, we'll fold it up against our cab, and the prop rods allow it to remain in place while we're on the road. With it folded up, you can clearly see the rails. There are no drill installation. They simply clamp on to the underside of our truck bed rails, and they only sit inside of our truck bed about 1.5 inches. The automatic latching panels make it a secure fit to your truck bed. And when used in conjunction with a locking tailgate, your bed is completely secure. The whole thing is made out of an aircraft grade aluminum with a black powder coat finish. It's going to be resistant to rust, corrosion, and UV rays. It features black rubber seals surrounding the whole assembly with a built-in drainage system up front. Both of those are going to further help keep out the elements. Now that we got all the features, I'll go ahead and show you how to get it installed. The very first thing we're going to do is install our bulkhead seal. So it's going to go right on top of our bulkhead, right before it begins to roll to the inside of our bed. Now, if we had a drop-in bed liner, we would not need to install this. So let's pull back the paper cover. We're just going to do a little bit at a time, and we're going to begin sticking it on the bulkhead. Just going to work my way across, applying pressure as I go. Once I get to the other side, I can just trim off the excess. And we're all set. Now let's move on to installing our rails. We need to make sure we grab the correct side. We're going to start with the driver's side. The silver bracket needs to be behind our cab, and it needs to be towards the inside of our truck bed. Now these are going to sit kind of right on top and inward on our truck bed rails. We need to make sure it's pushed all the way forward to where our seal is nice and snug up to the inside of our truck bed here. And we also need to be sure that our bracket is level. For putting our first clamp in place, we need to make sure it's opened up like so, and it needs to be placed roughly 6 to 9 inches from our bulkhead, so we're going to put it here. Now it also has teeth. We need to make sure it lines up with the teeth on our tonneau rail, and it's going to squeeze our truck bed rail and our tonneau rail together, holding it in place. So I'll go ahead and slide it up. Making sure it's all the way as far as it will go, and then I'm going to hand tighten it down. Once it's hand tight, I'm going to grab a 9/16 wrench and tighten it the rest of the way down. Now you will have to provide your own tools, and it's a good idea to put some down pressure on top of the rail. Just like that. For our center clamp, it needs to be placed near the center of our bed. We're going to go just left of our wheel well, so right here. Same as the front one. Once I've got it where I want it, I'll hand tighten it down, grab my 9/16 wrench, apply some down pressure, and then tighten it up. For our last clamp, it needs to be placed about 6 inches from the tailgate. So we'll put it here. Then we can repeat the whole process for the passenger side. With both rails installed, let's move on to installing our prop rods. We'll grab the end with the open socket here. We're going to line it up with the ball here, and then we're just going to push it in place. Once we hear the snap, we can take the other end and rest it within the keeper here. Now we'll grab an extra set of hands and set our tonneau cover assembly in place. Now we need to make sure that that small panel is facing forward. Once we get close, we'll just gently set it down. Just like that. After we set the assembly in place, we can lift up our small panel. We need to make sure that the frame here sits just inside of our truck bed. The seal is going to rest on top of our bulkhead seal. So we can just slightly adjust it as needed. There we go. You can see that it's laying flat. Now let's install our cab bumpers. They're going to install right on the top of our frame here. These are to ensure that when we fold our tonneau cover up against our cab, it doesn't make contact with the metal and cause it to scratch. So I like to start here in the middle. I'm going to line it up with my back window. Let's go ahead and peel back that red paper. And I'm just going to eye it up and then stick it in place. Then for the sides, just kind of evenly space it out. All right, with them installed, we can fold it up and check it out. All right, looks like it's resting on the bumpers. We're all set. With our cab bumpers in place, it's time to install our flat bolts. So we'll take the flat bolt and we'll take the rubber washer with the larger hole in the center, place that over the top, and then place that down through the tonneau cover hole here. Here on the underside, you can see where our flat bolt has gone through our silver bracket. That's what we want. Now we can continue putting on our hardware. We'll start with the rubber washer, and then we'll follow it up with our metal washer. We'll take the lock washer, and then finally we'll take our knob and start putting that in place. Now we'll just loosely install it. It's not a bad idea to get an extra set of hands to apply down pressure on the top, that way you can easily screw it on. Now we'll just repeat the same process for the other side. With our hardware loosely installed, let's go ahead and fold our tonneau cover back towards our tailgate. We want to make sure that our tailgate is closed, and by doing all of this, it's going to help square up our cover. The last panel should sit just inside the tailgate. That's what we want. It looks pretty good. Now that we know the whole assembly fits square within our truck bed, let's go ahead and fold it back up. We'll leave the last panel down to help it remain square, and we'll go underneath and completely tighten up our hardware. Now when we tighten these knobs, we want to be sure not to over tighten. We just want to flatten out those lock washers. Once one's done, we'll just go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side. With everything tightened and secured down, the last step is to run our drain hoses. The top is just going to be pushed on to the portion up here until it's connected. Make sure it goes all the way to the top. For our bottom, we're going to run down through where our grommet is. Now you've got two choices. You can drill out a 7/8 hole through the grommet and then run the hose through that way, or you can just take out the whole grommet. So just take your flathead screwdriver, take out the whole grommet, and just run the hose down like so. Either way, you can just go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side. And that's going to complete our installation of the BAKFlip G2 hard tonneau cover, part number BAK 26309, on our 2010 Ford Raptor Super Cab.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.